Hello everyone! Sorry, I am a little bit late here. I was just figuring out exactly how to go live on YouTube. This is a new platform for me. So thank you for bearing with me and being really patient. My name is Kiki, and today, as you guys know, I'm going to be talking about intuitive eating. I'm just going to set up my notes here in a separate tab. Thank you all for joining. I'm super excited to be chatting about this topic. It's so dear to my heart. Now, before we before I actually get into the topic, I'd love for all of us to actually just take a moment to ground, get comfortable. I love this little mini grounding practice, especially before meals as well. So it's all going to tie in. So everyone joining, whether you're just listening or watching, I want you to have both feet firmly on the ground. Maybe you're sitting down, maybe you're standing. And just take a nice, big, deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And closing your eyes just for a moment, and then I promise we'll get into things. I would like you to think about red roots coming down through your legs, down out of your feet, and feel those roots latching into the earth, down deep into the core of the earth. And feel that sense of rooting into Mother Earth, feeling held, supported, and just feeling really present here. Taking a nice big deep breath in through the nose and letting it go. Alrighty. So thank you. Hopefully all of you were doing that. I'm going to trust you. And again, promise last thing before I get into all of the juiciness that I'm going to share with you guys today. I want you to take a second and actually think about why you're here right now listening to me. I'm so glad you are, but there's probably a particular reason that actually called you to this webinar. And I want you to really tap into that right now and set an intention for what you hope to get out of this, why you're coming into it, and really make it personal for you and make it meaningful. I absolutely love sharing on this topic. It's so dear to my heart, as I mentioned. And in order for you to get the most out of it, I really want you to be able to apply it to your particular journey with food, with your body, with life. Okay. So I'm going to start with a little bit of storytelling. And I'm going to actually take us back about 7 years ago. I was a young 20-year-old woman, youth. I don't know, what would be a 20-year-old, a youth or a woman? And at this time in my life, I remember sitting in my doctor's office and her very gently, but at the same time firmly, explaining to me that no, I can no longer go skiing. I have to cancel my upcoming ski trip because I have such a low bone density and such a high chance of early onset osteoporosis that I am just too weak to do any sort of sports like skiing, anything dangerous like that, because I was too thin, too deficient, too weak. And all I remember in my head was thinking, I don't even care because I'm skinny, so it doesn't matter. And that's just a little piece of where orthorexia and this real obsession with food and how it connects to weight and image really got for me. And another moment I want to take you back into is I went on this gorgeous trip to England. My mom is British, so we would go to England every year. And I remember in that same year, I was 20, and we were invited to this really gorgeous garden party. And I stepped foot in this beautiful back garden. It was, oh my goodness, I could smell the flowers. It was just stunning. And all I could think was, how the hell am I going to get out of eating this food? Because it probably has gluten in it and dairy and all of these godforsaken things. And I didn't enjoy the garden party at all. And why am I telling you these two little tidbit stories? I'm telling it to you because I want you to understand that here's the thing. Food is meant to sustain our lives. It is not meant to consume our lives. And for me, it absolutely consumed a good chunk of 5 to 6 years of my life. And maybe you're coming from the other side of things. Maybe you are not as perfectionistic around food. You're not as obsessed around what you do or do consume from that perspective. Maybe you're coming from another perspective where you just feel like, no, actually, I'm so weak around food. You know, I have no boundaries around food. You know, I'll eat everything and anything, and I just feel like I'm always hungry and I'm addicted to food. Either way, not to worry. I'm going to share with you today some really practical and just structured, relevant skills and sort of strategies that can help you tap into your innate ability to eat perfectly for you. Because yes, you can. They were gifts given to you at birth. And for those that are resonating with me saying food addiction, I hear this one a lot. Food addiction, sugar addiction. How many out there think that you have a sugar addiction? Because I hear it all the time. People don't get like, yeah, oh my God, I need to do a sugar detox because I'm so addicted to sugar. Let me say something about sugar addiction, okay? Let's think about, what does addiction mean? If you had a sugar addiction, I'm going to humor that for a second, right? If you had a sugar addiction, that would mean, let's say I tell you, okay, you can only have sugary goods for the next 2 weeks. That's all you can have. You can have as much as you want. Think about a food that you are like, oh my God, I'm so addicted to that food. I can't have that food in the house. I'll just eat so much of it all the time. Oh my God, right? Think about it. If I told you maybe it's donuts. If I told you all you could eat for the next 2 weeks are donuts. Maybe you'd eat quite a bit of donuts. But here's the thing about addiction. If you were addicted to donuts or sugar, that would mean that at the end of the 2 weeks, you'd need more. You'd be like, oh my God, my tolerance, has increased. I'm gonna need more donuts. What have you done, Kiki? Because now I just, now 17,000 donuts just don't cut it. I'm gonna need more donuts. Do you see what I'm saying here? You're not addicted to sugar. You like sugar, okay? So with all of that said, I'm going to go into today a little bit of what is out of order eating. My specialty is really helping, namely women, get back into the rhythm of their bodies and so that they can put their eating back in order. I'm going to go through a little bit of that. I'm going to go through some coherent breathing. I really like to combine an approach called MBIT, multiple brain integration technique, into my work. We're going to talk a little bit about the gut brain. And then I'm going to make sure that you get a few key practical tools that you can start implementing right after this webinar so that this is going to be insanely valuable for you and worthwhile your time. This is really, I thank you for investing an hour of your time with me. I know that we live in a busy world, regardless of if we're quarantined or not. And so I'm going to make this incredibly valuable for you. And this topic is, as I said, dear to my heart. And I do it in a slightly different way. I know intuitive eating is quite trendy right now. Everyone's talking about it. The concept of just intuitive eating for me never really works. So if you're here and you're kind of like, yeah, I don't know, I've tried this intuitive eating before. I've tried this mindful eating before. And I never really, it never really stuck. Not to worry. My process is structured. I have done this on myself. I do it with countless clients. It works. Okay, let's get into some out of order eating. And so what do you think of when you think of out of order eating? Maybe you're automatically feeling a little bit guilty about the out of order eating you do. So I have a test actually, and you can download it on my website and do the full test. But what I want to do with you guys watching today is walk you through some of the questions that I ask on the test, the self-assessment, to see how out of order your eating may be. So I'm going to ask you some questions and think about, is this me often, or is this me just sometimes, or no, this isn't really me. Okay. First one. I label food by using words like junky, naughty, this is clean, this is good, this is bad, this is allowable. Do you ever talk about food in that way? How often do you think that you would do that? Because that's a sign of out of order eating. And I especially want to be talking to the moms here as well. Because oftentimes we are conditioned with these sorts of labels around food, and it's really important that we don't pass on this conditioning to our children as well, and kind of for them to teach them that some food is junky and some food is naughty. Food is food. There's no higher status food and lower status food. Okay. Another question, do you use food to break up your day? So as an in-betweener, right? And, work. And then, I come home and need to eat something. It helps me kind of structure my day. It helps me kind of plan my day, right? I'm also going to argue that's out of order. Do you weigh yourself at least once daily? That's something that comes up with my clients a lot. That would be out of order. I have 3 more. If you smell or see food, boom, you easily become hungry. How often does that happen to you? Or are you scared of getting fat? Is that something that you use your energy in thinking about? Oh my goodness, no, I can't eat that because I'll get fat. And last one, this one's similar to one that I've mentioned before. I organize my schedule around what or when I'm going to eat. I organize my schedule around what or when I'm going to eat. It's a key sign of out of order eating. And I know what some of you are probably thinking, oh my goodness, I live such a busy, hectic life. I have to plan it. I have to schedule it in. But what you will learn in this, in the information that I'm sharing, that I'm about to share with you, is that it's absolutely not necessary. Yes, there's an element of practicality that we have to incorporate into our lives. We have to, figure out that, we're going to need to go to the grocery store and get some food and et cetera, et cetera. But the level of detail that people plan and organize their food is oftentimes very out of order. So here's the thing. If we're using food to fill a need other than hunger, and when I say hunger, I mean gut hunger, real hunger, then that is out of order. So food serves a key purpose, and for the most part, one purpose, and it's to care for the physical body. Now, I will go further, and I'm going to argue that it's also meant to be an enjoyable break as you care for the physical body, right? And that means that you're using two key boundaries each and every time. Now, this is incredibly, incredibly important. This is one of the real juicy nuggets of what I'm about to share with you. We all have these boundaries around food. Again, there's two that you always need to honor and respect and listen to. What are they? Hunger and taste. What does that mean? We eat when we're hungry, and we eat what tastes good to us, okay? Oftentimes, people can get behind the hunger one, right? It's like, yeah, okay, no, that makes sense. Eat when you're hungry. Okay, yeah, I'll take that one. Eat what tastes good. You've lost me now. That might be, I don't really know, because I think that, things that aren't not good for me taste good, right? But here's the thing. Again, these are two innate boundaries that you were gifted when you were born, right? A baby, if you try to feed a baby or even a toddler when it's not hungry, oh my goodness, it definitely will not eat. Try to, it's like, no, I'm not hungry, right? But in today's world, it's like, oh my God, it's noon, I've got to eat. Or like, oh, well, I have these meetings, so I should eat now. Or like, oh, well, I have my workout to do. Or like, oh, I've worked out, so I should have, and here's the thing. Where does the stomach lie? Boom. It lies in our gut. Our stomach is not in our head, right? And so when we use our head brain, to make decisions around when to eat, what to eat, et cetera, unfortunately, we don't have any boundaries in our head because our stomach isn't there, right? Hence the need to think about it all the time, because we sort of need to game the system somehow because there aren't any boundaries in our head. So we need to keep kind of creating them. And what does this do? It sucks our energy, right? So here's the thing. A lot of the time, simply gaining a deeper clarity and understanding about this, because it is, these innate gifts are inside of you already, can really be game changer. So what I wanted to do today is walk you through some examples of when food becomes something else. When food becomes, nope, not something to care for the physical body because it needs nourishment, but it's serving a different purpose. Okay, and so I'm going to walk you through a couple. If you have a notepad with you, you might want to jot down the ones that are really resonating for you. If not, no worries. Just sit back, relax, listen. But listen attentively and think about the ones that I go through that you're like, yeah, that's me. That's one of those key, out of order eating things. I will also say, to you. I haven't mentioned that you guys can feel free to pop questions into the chat. I'll try to periodically look at it. I'm a bad multitasker because everyone is deep down. And feel free to pop those questions into the chat box, and I will answer them either throughout the talk, or we are going to leave 15 minutes at the end for a Q&A period. So if not, I'll leave them till then, okay? So, okay, here is a common one, eating as transition, okay? So here's the thing, when we change activities, our bodies, so our heart rate, our respiration, and even our biorhythm, it needs time to catch up with our speedy brains, okay? And so here's the thing, food becomes a really convenient in-betweener, right? And so how do we fix this? Realize that we actually biologically need a break. We need breaks in between doing things, right? Even if it's just a short one before you refocus. So what does this look like practically? It means that, maybe in the morning you're on emails, whatever, and then you're like, oh, okay, like I need to go now and run an errand. And oftentimes people, oh, okay, I'm gonna have a coffee, or I'm gonna have a snack, or I'm gonna eat something, right? Just because we need that break to kind of be like, okay, need to refocus. I'm switching gears, right? If we put food in every time we switch gears, it starts to serve not the purpose, which is to care for the physical body when it's hungry, okay? So really be conscious of using food as an intermediate activity, okay? And instead, I know what you're thinking. You're like, what am I going to do instead? Right? I'm not going to say anything, incredibly game changer here, other than, because clients ask me all the time, they're like, what's a good thing? I have their notebook. What should I do instead? Right? Twiddle your thumbs, look out the window, just take a moment, take a couple deep breaths, just give yourself some time, right? Let your body relax until you're ready to move forward into the next task. So a little mantra, it's okay for me to relax, okay? And if you have your notebook, you can write that down if that's resonating. It's okay for me to relax. Oftentimes, the main drivers of us eating out of order are actually due to non-value-based beliefs that are stuck in the gut and that need to be cleaned out. Again, it's a resurfacing of how to eat properly. It's not this like new profound thing, okay? And that's often what I work with clients, because it's a little bit different for everyone, okay? Another sort of activity when food becomes something else is, I like to call it eating as environmental response. So let me break this down for you. This could be you if when you see or you smell food, you're drawn irresistibly to it. So maybe you're cooking for your family, you're not actually hungry yet because it's maybe a certain time and you're not hungry until a little bit later in the day, but you're cooking, and as you work, as you touch the food, which you vowed not to eat, but you've touched it, and that leads to just kind of tasting it, and you nibble. Or maybe you see your friend eating, or your child's eating, or you're at a party and you're not really hungry, but there's like food available, and so you're like, oh, okay. So what can you do if you're an environmental eater? You have to decide that you can create boundaries to your eating. And I'm going to share a really awesome strategy on this, really awesome technique around this a little bit later in the talk. But here's some things to remind yourself. I'm in charge of my eating. Okay, so when you're at that event, you're, oh my goodness, food is available. I'm in charge of my eating. I choose what, when, and how much to eat. And I only eat until I'm satisfied. Okay? And if you have your notebook and you want to write down a little mantra to work with, if you're kind of more of one of those environmental eaters, my surroundings don't dictate my eating, right? It's you who dictates it. Another topic that comes up for out of order eating, or when eating becomes something else, is just simply eating as activity. I think we've all been guilty of this one. So eating may be just as a passive activity, snacking when you're bored, or who's ever found themselves at the cupboard or, in your kitchen, just kind of nibbling on something and you don't even like it. You don't even really want to be eating, but you're just kind of like want to do something, right? So here's the thing. Each and every time you eat, there needs to be a conscious decision from you that says, I'm going to eat. I eat to take care of my body, right? And eating can be an active, a truly enjoyable experience. With that said, it can be so enjoyable that you continue to eat more than your body needs. And that's when eating becomes an activity done for the pure pleasure or enjoyment of it. And here's the thing. I said, absolutely, food is meant to taste good to us. It's meant to be an enjoyable break. So I'm not saying if you're getting pleasure from food, there is a problem. That's absolutely not the case. But it's when you're using it as the only source of pleasure in your life, right? And what I work on with clients is how can you be responsible to yourself so that you are finding those pleasures in other ways, okay? There's nothing wrong with seeking pleasure. You need it. Your body will seek it if you deny yourself endorphin-producing activities. So if food is really one of the only ways that you're getting pleasure in your life right now, guess what? You're gonna seek out pleasure from it more often than you need to, right? So be responsible to yourself to find those pleasures. I have a sheet that I work through in my 6-week program. It's called Pleasure Possibilities. And it's a worksheet, but basically you guys can do a similar thing, which is, and actually for those watching and who want it, you can email me afterwards and I can send it to you. But it's really just a matter of thinking about what are the other ways in my life that I get pleasure, right? And making sure that you're honoring those and that you're getting enough pleasure in your life, right? And prioritize them and see which ones really stack up to the top for you. And of course, if eating is number one on your priority list, I really do urge you to find other things that you love to do beside food. Okay, and I know that we're all in a hard time now when we're, some of us are living steps from our kitchen, all always inside. So it's really important to be responsible to yourself here and to get mindful. Another one that I wanted to mention is eating as avoidance. Okay, so you may use eating as a buffer zone to avoid a confrontation with either a person or a situation you dread, right? A responsibility that you just don't want to face, an odious task you don't want to perform, okay? So I'm gonna give you a little juicy example of how I would do this. I would find myself binging before dates that I did not want to go on. And I would just eat because God forbid I go on this blind date that I really did not want to go on. And it was like my body protecting myself, my subconscious kind of protecting myself. I'm like, oh, well, now I don't have to go on that date because I'm super bloated and I feel gross. And it's, and so what's the reframe there? Or, what's the other way of going about that solution? You could instead recognize the feelings first, right? I could give myself permission to feel those feelings, honor that, and respond to them appropriately. In my case, it's canceling the date, right? And so here's the thing. If eating, it'll help you avoid things, maybe. It's like, oh, I'm going to just go for seconds because I don't really quite want to do that yet. I don't want to really, have that confrontation at the moment. But so if you eat long enough, you can sometimes put off the inevitable for minutes, maybe even hours or days, but it's only procrastination. It's not a solution. I remember I used this kind of metaphor. I guess it's not a metaphor, but just a way to think about it for one of my clients. And it was game changer for her. She was like, wow, yeah, you're so right. If you think about like a stick figure, right? And there's this person over here, and this person has this problem that she really just does not want to face, okay? And maybe it's like speaking to her husband about, I don't know, a money issue, right? And then we have this person with the exact same problem. This person decides to eat so she doesn't have to face it. This person doesn't, right? They both have the same problem, except now this person has the problem and maybe now a really full belly that the problem feels a little bit buffered from, right? Oftentimes we use food as a buffer to connect to our core self, to connect to our feelings so fully. It's like, I'm going to dilute that problem and not quite feel it right away and all the like so raw, right? Because if you think about in spiritual traditions, fasting, right? Why do they do that? When we're free of food, we can more easily connect to our core essence, to our core selves. And I'm absolutely not saying that, oh my God, and therefore, God forbid we ever eat. It's not the point. But if you are constantly stuffing down your feelings and kind of diluting or buffering what's actually going on because you just can't feel those real feelings, again, it's about being responsible to yourself so that you can put your eating back in order, right? I mentioned earlier that eating is really an enjoyable break from life. There's eating and then there's life, right? There's the movement of your life, whatever that might be. And so if you find yourself, for those that you find yourself not wanting to stop eating, it's like, oh my God, I just don't want to stop. The stop of eating is the start of your movement. If you don't want to jump right back into the start of your movement, guess what? You're eating, you're gonna continue to do, right? And so maybe it's because it's super pleasurable as well, but it's really about getting back on your path so that the movement of your life is something that, now that I'm refueled, feeling good, feeling spacious, feeling balanced, now I can get back onto my movement, right? Get back into my life, because that's all food is meant to do. It's supposed to sustain your life. It's not meant to consume your life, right? But here's the thing. Eating is simple. Life is hard. So oftentimes what I'm working through with clients is what's going on in there in life that we just want to keep the food, filling it up because we don't want to get back into life, right? So another one, eating as immediate gratification. I'm a millennial, okay? I get immediate gratification. I totally get our obsession with like, oh my God, how many Instagram likes did I just get? Or, we're such an on society, and we just want that quick fix, right? And it's really, food can give us that desire for results right now. We know if we have something that we like it's like, okay, that, piece of toast in there I know it's there, and I know when I eat it, I'm going to feel good, and it's going to taste good, and boom, it's like so like matter of fact, right? There's not a lot of things that you're like, yeah, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to feel this way, and it's, yeah, perfect, done. There's like almost no like ifs, ands, buts, maybes, whatever. And so again, the important thing here is to bring yourself back to the truth. Eating is done out of consideration for your body's physical needs. Okay? It's not meant to be something just when you need a quick fix. Be responsible to yourself. Okay? And I also want to say this. I would like you to ask yourself this. Just like how I was saying around, we're kind of an instant society, are you okay with less intensity in your life? Why do I ask this? Eating is intense. Chewing is intense. Eating, the taste buds, activation, it's a very intense experience, right? I'm quite an intense person, as you can probably tell, right? So for me, it was just like, yeah, I always want to kind of be doing something, and like, even if that's, chewing something. And so oftentimes with clients, it's a process of getting comfortable with a little bit less intensity, with that just being. Because circling back to, being responsible for yourself and to yourself, with making sure that you're getting pleasures from other senses, right? We have other senses other than taste. Yep, I know, we do. We have sight, sound, touch, smell, right? So what other things can you do? Can you, spritz a little bit of aromatherapy? Can you go look at nice pictures? Can you touch a nice, soft blanket? And I know what you're thinking now. You're like, none of those are really as intense and, intensely enjoyable as eating. And I'm not going to lie to you. No, they're not. Right? But we have to be responsible to ourselves. And it oftentimes is a matter of kind of coming down and being okay with a little bit less intensity. On that, I actually want to mention as well, eating, not only is it an intense experience for us, but it helps us to feel connected to ourselves. It's almost like this hack, this instant way, almost like a false sense of connection, because it's food that's deciding that now, okay, yeah, now I'm connected to myself. It's such an intimate experience if you think about it, right? Eating, you're caring for the physical body. You're officially connected to yourself when you eat. Why am I saying this? If you live your life not connected to yourself, if you're just kind of go, if you're flighty, if you just feel like you're one of those people where, oh my God, my feet never touch the ground, then you are going to desire, you're going to deeply crave a connection to yourself that, guess what? Food fills, and it gets it. But here's the thing. Again, I say that it's almost a false connection to yourself because it's the food deciding that, okay, now you're connected to yourself. And what's important is I want you to decide, I'm connected to myself. I'm connected in the movement of my life, of my body. And so it's about figuring out, when do you feel grounded? When do you feel connected to yourself? And take that with you, right? The world is, we're slowly but surely all really opening up to meditation and this feeling of calm. And, some of us have morning rituals, and we're writing in our journal, and we take 20 minutes for meditation, and then, and then it's boom, 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 back into the flow of our day. Let's take our calm with us, okay? So I like to say to clients, take your calm with you. Stay connected throughout the day. Again, that comes back to taking breaks, right? Now, I want to clarify that as you think about which of these non-food issues resonate with you most, maybe it's a little bit of all of them, maybe it was only one, I don't want you to get in there and dig out and analyze all the peripheral problems first, okay? This isn't about an unpacking. This isn't about, okay, now go journal on that for 2 hours and figure out all your limiting beliefs and all of that. Just, no, the process that I work through with clients is really about moving you forward, about feeling better about things, and just pushing you forward to, yep, we're feeling free. We're feeling free. That fog is slowly lifting, right? And so the issues that you're feeling like, yep, that's a problem for me, those are the ones that need to be addressed. If they aren't a block, don't magnify them, right? One last one that I'm going to just mention is eating as achievement. This was definitely one for me. Who here has enjoyed the attention or the admiration of losing weight? That's fine. The problem is that when your body, whether that's through thinness or through, muscular creation, I don't know how to call it, being fit, it becomes a problem when it's your primary way of excelling and being noticed. Okay? And so this is what I'll say to that. When you do something as intimate as for yourself as eating, let it be your choice, right? And as you continue to make these choices, you gain inner strength. And the process is really to disengage eating from achievement, okay? Choice is really the cornerstone of this process. It's what I work through with clients, total and complete choice. Total and complete choice in food, and total and complete choice in your movement, okay? Wow, it's already 1:45. I can really talk. So technically, we were supposed to do the last 15 minutes of Q&A. I'm gonna just keep on keeping on here and keep chatting away, because clearly I like the sound of my own voice. If you guys have questions, just pop them in the chat, and I'm here. I'm watching. I promised that we talk a little bit about the gut. I absolutely love multiple brain integration technique. Basically, quick primer, we have 3 brains. We have one in our head, we have one in our heart, and we have one in our gut. Our gut is what, Katya said, okay, awesome. Thank you, Katya, for the kind comment. Getting back to our gut. Our gut holds our core identity. So if we, don't like ourselves, if we don't really know who we are, we're going to have a hard time actually listening to our gut wisdom. And what does our gut wisdom hold? It houses our hunger and our satiety cues, right? Just like I said, oftentimes we need to drop our brain into our gut, because that's where our stomach is, right? Drop your stomach. It's not up there. It's in here, right? And probably won't have time to do the coherent breathing. What I want to say is that a really cool fact is that with our 3 brains, we really want them in constant communication with one another and constant flow. They're meant to all be communicating, all 3, all the time. right? A really nice hack for this, we won't actually do a full coherent breathing meditation, but the easiest way to get your body into coherence, into when all three of the brains are communicating with one another, and again, so that you can access that gut wisdom, is coherent breathing. And it's super simple. It's an in-breath of 6 seconds, again, through the nose, and an out-breath of 6 seconds. You can do that through the nose or the mouth, whatever you feel most comfortable. I have a meditation for that. If you're interested, you can contact me. But here's the thing. There's an MBIT principle. Most signals flow upwards. So the majority of nerves connecting the gut and the heart brain to the head flow upwards via the vagus nerve. It's actually 90% of communication signaling travel upwards into the head, right? Only 10% can actually go down. What does this mean? You can't talk yourself out, or it's very difficult to talk yourself out of like feeling off, right? And so getting yourself into this constant state of, or more frequent state of coherence can really help to strengthen our gut wisdom. And what I'm going to say is it's really important, especially if you're suffering with any sort of IBS symptoms, create a calm before and after eating. Really, really take some deep breaths, do some coherent breathing, maybe do a little grounding exercise, identify and create a constant internal calm, okay? Now, I promised some specific strategies, and so I'm gonna jump right into that. Now, there's many different ones that I do with clients, and I want you to know that you absolutely, if you are listening to this webinar and you're like, oh my God, I have IBS issues, I have eating issues, it takes over my life, whatever, know that absolutely you can get over this. You can return to a way of eating absolutely perfect for you. Those gifts are still inside of you. I have worked with clients that they were in tears on our clarity calls and just spending thousands on practitioners, on supplements, on protocols. They're eating all these different specific diets. And within weeks, sometimes, 6 weeks, sometimes 2 months, within weeks, they turn it around and the fog just lifts and the freedom is just incredible. Because if just think about how much extra time you would have if you weren't always thinking about eating, thinking about not eating, or eating. How much space would open up in your world if that wasn't the case, right? And so what's one of the first steps I go through with clients? Finding your container, okay? It is most likely that you've gravitated towards a diet as a means of weight control because, your boundaries just have not been established. I say boundaries because they're not walls, they're limits that we choose, okay? Flexibility and wisdom they're essential for boundary maintenance, okay? So how do we find our boundaries? A really awesome exercise. Every time you go to eat, the boundary is represented by a circle. So you have a notebook, get a sheet of paper, whatever. I have worksheets that I go through with my clients, but it's very easy. You can just get a paper, right? Each eating occasion is a circle, okay? You begin the circle each time you begin eating. You close it when you end that eating occasion, okay? You're gonna vary the circles to indicate the amount of intake. Maybe you have kind of a smallish breakfast, then you have a big lunch, and then you have a smaller dinner, right? And then maybe you have a snack, and then you have another snack, right? You can map it out in a straight line like this. Some of my clients like to map it in like a clock way. What are the reasons for the circles? You're like, this is weird. You're like, you're not going to ask me to write down what I'm eating? Here are the reasons for the circles. You own where you're at. It's yours. Okay? It's helping you make that conscious decision. I am going to eat. Oftentimes we eat and we don't even know that we're eating. We're like in the kitchen. We're like, oh, popping some grapes, whatever. No, every time you eat, I am eating. I'm making a conscious choice to care for my physical body, right? So this practice really helps us see how often we eat. Helps us to become aware, okay? There's no judgment. There's no like, there's a goal number of circles. Sometimes clients will be like, oh my God, like I think that like this, like, what are the number of circles that I should be, you know what I mean, aiming towards? No. It's your choice, but we need to become aware of the facts, okay? And here's the thing, when we close the circle, boom, we've closed that eating occasion. Can move on into our life, right? And it starts to give you that freedom to think about things other than food between meals. Here's another little hack. When you start the circle, you can say to yourself or say out loud, start. I'm starting my eating now. I've decided to eat. And then when you stop eating, you can say stop, right? I've decided to stop eating. I'm done now, finish. Right? So we can start to affirm to ourselves, yeah, we make these decisions, not the diet, not what, this practitioner said, whatever. It's you. Only you live in your stomach. Okay? Only you know the answers. Okay? And it really starts to help you clarify your internal boundaries. Trust that you do absolutely already have these. Okay, so this is an exercise I absolutely want everyone who is watching today to start doing if you feel like you need some help with your boundaries, okay? Here's another tip. You need to record the eating activity immediately because oftentimes you can become aware of just how much eating, okay? And so that's often why diets fail. It's because everything is external. Right? It's like, oh, okay, like, now it's this o'clock. I can have, my grapefruit juice and my this and so again, that tool of saying start and stop, or begin and finish really helps you take ownership of your choices to eat and to stop. Really demonstrates that you can start and you can stop. And so as we kind of come to a close here, and if I do have any questions, Katya is working on boundaries. So this exercise is brilliant. Awesome. And you know what? It comes back as well into the avoidance. Boundaries, if we don't have boundaries in other elements of our life, they're harder to really incorporate into food. So what you'll notice is that I'm never just targeting food, it's also life. If we don't have boundaries with our relationships, our work, etc., then we're not going to have boundaries with food, okay? So I do want to mention that this webinar is actually catching me at a good time. I only ever work with max 6 clients, and right now I'm full. But mid-October, mid this month, I'm actually having 3 spots open up. I guide clients through all of these different exercises. It's a 6-week, quite an intensive experience with me. I only work with clients that are absolutely ready to start owning their eating. And, if you're just looking to me to kind of tell you what to eat or when to eat or any of that stuff, I'm not your gal. It's not my approach. you have the wisdom to eat perfectly for you, but I do take you through a very, very structured process within the 6 weeks. I have, again, 3 spots opening up mid-October. If you're interested in this opportunity, you can go to my website. It's thexperfectionist.com. Scroll all the way down and click apply now. I do have all of my clients fill out an application form to get on the wait list, just because I want to make sure that it's a right fit. I'm not the right fit for everyone, but if you feel like there's something going on in your life, in your food, and if there's something going on with your fooding, I like to say there's something going on in your life and we need to tackle those together. I really, really love this work because I just know how much it not only allows you to free yourself from the prison of food, but it really helps you to get back into the alignment and the movement of your life. Food is meant to sustain your life. It's not meant to consume your life. And as I said before, eating is simple, life is hard. Okay? And so if there's anything that you take away from this hour together, it's the next time you hear someone say, oh, no, you need to be on this diet, or, oh, this is the best way to eat, or whatever. I want you to drop back down into your stomach, into your gut wisdom, and no, I know how to eat for me, and I create my own boundaries, and I have the innate wisdom in my gut, and if anything, I will always come back to those 2 boundaries that I mentioned earlier, hunger and taste. If you need some support with that journey, I absolutely would love to be a guide for you if it's right. Again, my website is thexperfectionist.com. If you're like not ready for that, I also have a Facebook group where I share information like this. I know Facebook groups are like kind of lame, but I love it. I don't know. I feel like only like baby boomers are on Facebook now. Like my mom's like super like, she like has all the things. But anyways, I'm on Facebook too. If you wanted to join my group, it's private, but I can let you in. It is The Real Food Secrets for Eating Normally Again. I know it's a really long name. But you can go to facebook.com/groups/experfectionist. Okay. If we don't have any questions, it is officially 2:00. So I will send you all on your way. Sending so much blessings, just you guys being here and listening today. You are taking a step in the right direction. I am sending all of you so much love, so much blessings in your journey. It was an honor to share a little bit about what I do with you guys, and have a fabulous rest of your weekend. Bye.